Hey guys! Welcome to AWS DBA. In this session, we are going to see about Overview of Monitoring Amazon RDS. Overview of Monitoring Amazon RDS. Monitoring is an important part of maintaining the reliability, availability, and performance of Amazon RDS and your AWS solutions. To more easily debug multi-point failures, we recommend that you collect monitoring data from all parts of your AWS solution. Monitoring Plan. Before you start monitoring Amazon RDS, we recommend that you create a monitoring plan. This plan should answer the following questions. What are your monitoring goals? Which resources will you monitor? How often will you monitor these resources? Which monitoring tools will you use? Who will perform the monitoring tasks? Whom should be notified when something goes wrong? Performance Baseline. To achieve your monitoring goals, you need to establish a baseline. To do this, measure performance under different load conditions at various times in your Amazon RDS environment. You can monitor metrics such as the following: network throughput, client connections, I/O for read, write, or metadata operations, burst credit balances for your DB instances. We recommend that you store historical performance data for Amazon RDS. Using the stored data, you can compare current performance against past trends. You can also distinguish normal performance patterns from anomalies and devise methods to address issues. Performance Guidelines. In general, acceptable values for performance metrics depend what your application is doing relative to your baseline. Investigate consistent or trending variances from your baseline. The following metrics are often the source of performance issues. High CPU or RAM consumption. High values for CPU or RAM consumption might be appropriate if they're in keeping with your goals for your application, like throughput or concurrency, and are expected. Disk space consumption. Investigate disk space consumption if space used is consistently at or above 85% of the total disk space. See if it is possible to delete data from the instance or archive data to a different system to free up space. Network traffic. For network traffic, talk with your system administrator to understand what expected throughput is for your domain network and internet connection. Investigate network traffic if throughput is consistently lower than expected. Database connections. If you see high numbers of user connections and also decreases in instance performance and response time, consider constraining database connections. The best number of user connections for your DB instance varies based on your instance class and the complexity of the operations being performed. To determine the number of database connections, associate your DB instance with a parameter group where the user connections parameter is set to a value other than 0, unlimited. You can either use an existing parameter group or create a new one. IOPS metrics. The expected values for IOPS metrics depend on disk specification and server configuration, so use your baseline to know what is typical. Investigative values are consistently different than your baseline. For best IOPS performance, make sure that your typical working set fits into memory to minimize read and write operations. When performance falls outside your established baseline, you might need to make changes to optimize your database availability for your workload. For example, you might need to change the instance class of your DB instance. Or you might need to change the number of DB instances and read replicas that are available for clients.